I'd like to thank everybody for taking time out of their day to join our presentation. The presentation today that I'm going to be going through is the best VAV box family ever that you'll ever have. This is something that I personally utilize. So you're going to hear information today, and you're going to hear the presentation based upon some of the experiences I've gone through in both a design setting and a VAV setting or VDC setting. So you'll be able to ask questions related to both scenarios if you choose, and we'll address them as we go along. All right. So based on kind of what I'm seeing here and what I'm showing here, again, my name is Joseph Levia, or Joe Levia, as everybody calls me. I am a senior MEP technical specialist for ATG USA. Some notable things about me: I've got an associate's in drafting and design, and I've continued on to pursue a bachelor's degree in project management and construction management, where I'm finishing up the last little bit of construction management after transferring with a semester left out of ITT Tech with project management. So I've been in the industry since 2015. And some of my backgrounds includes working with an MEP firm, started in low voltage, and then working in a couple other firms, from contractors to other MEP firms to over here with ATG, where I get to do a variety of different options. So from consulting to training to project work. So we take on project work. So if you guys are overwhelmed, feel free, let us know. Or if you have questions on anything, feel free to let us know as well. We can do some consulting time. And our goal here, in something that we make a goal, is we don't want anybody else to have to deal with the hurdles and the hassle we've had to coming up in this industry. So we're here to help in any which way we can. But some notable projects I've worked on: Milwaukee Bucks Arena for the basketball team in Milwaukee, Wisconsin; Harry Potter roller coaster, Toma Replacement Hospital, and the Oswego Police Station just outside of Chicago. So a description of what we're looking at today from a webinar standpoint is we're going to dive into the VAV box family that comes with the MEP Productivity Pack. Within that family, I'm going to look at some of the accessories that come with that family, what separates that family from other families. And then we're going to talk about some time-saving parameters and such that are already embedded, as well as going into some of the benefits of utilizing it for both the design side of the industry and the construction side of the industry. So there is applications that you can utilize that I have utilized for the VDC side of the world. So that's another benefit to this family in itself. And then for any of those who are interested in the MEP Productivity Pack, we do demos. We will have conversations with yourself, your team, your upper level management. And it definitely is one of those time-saving tools out there that allows not just the large firms to prosper, but also small firms, the 1- and 2-man mom and pop shops that I've worked with in the past. We can actually offer this product with these tools, such as this VAV box, and allow you guys to basically go in there and hit the ground running from day one, utilizing Revit, as opposed to having to build everything on the back end, and try to build that into your productivity schedule. So some of the learning objectives that we're looking to dive into today. This is going to be just to review the VAV box and its many parameters. We're also going to discuss how this is utilized in the design world as well as the VDC world. VDC also BIM coordination. Pre-construction BIM coordination is where that comes from with VDC, virtual design and construction. And then we're going to review ways to improve the workflow in a project with this. All right. So it is time for Revit. I'm going to pull up our Revit model and going to swap my screen real quick. here we go. Everybody should see a Revit model out here, and you should see our MEP Productivity Pack 2019 model with our sample project tied to this. All right. So now what I am showing here is this is just our sample project from our MEP3. And I want to go to the actual piece of equipment that we have out here. So I've got a couple different views open, as you guys can see. All right, so I'm in our HVAC plan. By the way, this comes as part of the sample project. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Here is our VAV box. So some quick key highlights. This is a heating water performance VAV box. This is out of the Titus catalog. So within these pieces of equipment that you can see here, when this was built around the cut sheet from Titus. And then what we did end up doing is we worked with them and their catalog in order to build some of our content. And then we also included parameters and such into these pieces of content that we need for design, as well as a couple other pieces of parameters and such that are more utilized when you start thinking of the coordination effort, which under coordination, you guys can utilize that in the design side as value engineering. Coordination effort, you're going to use it for coordination. So this is some of the basic pieces of information that are out here. So some of the basic parameters that we have out here. Okay. One thing I do want to stress as well is if you wanted to take this piece of equipment and duplicate this piece of equipment, you guys can duplicate types and so on and so forth. There are plenty of different options out here that you guys can go through. So you can see there's an electric performance VAV box and such as well. But you guys can go through, maintain the actual piece of equipment and create additional types off of that. So that way, if you're looking at, say, a different carrier or something like that, or a different manufacturer's piece of equipment, you guys can maintain these parameters and just go in, adjust some of your geometry or so on and so forth. That way it saves you guys time manipulating it rather than rebuilding something from scratch. So here's some of the type parameters that are out here. And you guys, obviously, when it comes to duplicating, you can adjust out these type parameters, and you guys can adjust out the data that you're looking at. So that gives you guys a little bit more flexibility. One thing I do want to point out is within the graphic here, you're seeing that little red box that's up in the corner here. And what I will do is I will kind of give you guys a little piece of that aspect. Little red box right there. We will see that on the plans. That is a clearance zone. That is where we can utilize this type of this type of VAV box in our BIM coordination. So we can do one of two things with it. We can either maintain and utilize this box and bring this into a set of plans. Otherwise, we can actually take that coordinate or that clearance zone that's already been created that comes with the MEP3, and we can take that and apply that to our controls and just adjust the box size on existing VAV boxes coming out of one of the design models that you guys end up picking up. So some key aspects to this piece of equipment that sets us off and makes us a little bit different than some of the other clients out here is we've got the ability, as you can see, to adjust our neck size and everything along those lines. out here. So you can see the neck size I have listed here is a 6-inch neck size. Well, I can key in, say, a 10-inch neck size, and it will override that 6-inch neck size. So that gives us a little bit of flexibility there. If I kick this back to 0, there is a standard, that 6-inch, that we end up seeing sit out here. Okay. As we go down a little bit deeper, what I love the most about this specific product, or this specific family in general, is this designated little area right here. This is for our controls. Okay. So, and this is for our coils. The reason I like this so much is because I've had those projects where I'm sticking my VAV box basically right down a corridor, and my clearance zone is overlapping a wall or overlapping duct work or so on and so forth. And I can now utilize these check boxes here, and with a couple of with a couple of formulas added into the family, now all of a sudden I'm swapping my coils and my my equipment. Okay, so that gives me a little bit of flexibility there. I can even, and this is a rare case, I can even maintain my coils and my equipment on the same side of the box. Just a cautionary measure to that for some of you folks who are looking to do that. From what I've experienced in the past and such, there may be a premium to this layout here. So, and when you start adding on 60, 80, 100, depending on the size of the building, this specific VAV box, even $100 extra for the box can turn into a pretty significant dollar amount. So heads up to that. Definitely follow up with someone who understands where the budget is at, what aspect you're looking at, because this will have a cost impact, but it does give you the ability to swap some things around. Okay. So as we scroll down this a little bit further, there's a message center out here. It says selection valid. Depending on the family, some of these other families might have some more information, and do have more information regarding some of those auto sizes and such. That way we stay with the common sizes. And this is something that you guys as well could come in and you can build this out a little bit further. So. All right, so the next couple of slides I'm going to dive down and take a look at. We can see that we've got some electrical engineering information. So the electrical engineering information gives us the ability to come in here and start setting certain identity information out here, because obviously this has a motor in it. And with that being said, we can tie this wherever we need to, and we can start making those selections as we go down. There you go. Okay, so some other information that we have out here is once we circuit this, so you can see up at the very top here, if we maintain all three disciplines in the same model or not, we can circuit this information. Otherwise, when we go to synchronize this over with, say, the separate electrical model, they can copy monitor this piece of equipment and grab the information and then circuit in their model. So we have a little bit of flexibility in that realm. Electrical within this pack is definitely important, and it's built into our mechanical equipment and so on and so forth. That way we can make sure we're not just giving you a generic piece of equipment that's just built for mechanical, even though there's electrical values happening. So everything now is becoming more and more integrated. And because of that, we want to make sure we're taking advantage of that. And it was basically as simple as building a few extra parameters and tying things together, tying some of those loose ends together in order to integrate that the model and the disciplines a little bit cleaner and clearer. Okay. So as you can see, there's some information out here from electrical loads, from a panel to a circuit number. As we go down a little bit further, in this general area that we have listed out here, okay, this is going to be our dimensions. If some of you guys are not aware, there is what's known as an articulating arm that's built into the actual MEP Productivity Pack families. And what's cool about this articulating arm is instead of coming out here and rebuilding this whole piece of equipment from scratch, you can actually utilize that articulating arm to maintain your values that you have for your parameters. That way everything schedules accordingly and it ties itself still back to that shared parameter file, but it allows you with the XYZ coordinates for all the different add-ons to this piece of equipment. It allows you to move things around. Okay, that way you can adjust your piece of equipment so you can follow a cut sheet or something along those lines rather than do the rebuilding process. Okay. So, and then as we kind of dive a little bit further, we get down into the mechanical flow and everything along those lines. This is where we can start to do some overrides. So this is an override option out here. So design airflow. If I key this up to say 1,000, yep, CFM, I can adjust that on the fly. You can see minimum, maximum airflow listed right here, and then it adjusts all the calculations right down the line. So that's where this this comes into play, and how this best can be utilized. All right, not to go too much further into this, but this is just some of the other basic parameters that are out here. If you guys have any other questions, definitely feel free to give us a call, reach out, message us. We'll definitely take a look at this. So some other aspects that I want to take a look at and show you guys here is when it comes to this piece of equipment. You can see this piece of equipment is sitting right out here on the set of plans. Okay, and some of that information that's sitting out here from an airflow perspective, you start adjusting the information out here from the airflow perspective, and all of a sudden now you start seeing certain aspects of the sizing of the duct in inlets and outlet in the outlet adjusting as well. So that is functionable with this box, okay, with this VAV box. But also on top of that, if you're looking at utilizing that actual clearance zone as well, so my VA or my VDC guys, we actually have that listed in the model category, so that way you guys can actually find that information. So previously there was information listed under the generic model, so that's where clearances have been listed for a while now. This is going to be something that will be changing on the back end. So you notice I selected clearances, nothing happened. When I go back into this and go to adjust, we will start seeing clearance zones based upon the piece of equipment under its designated model category. Okay, so some of you guys, whenever you're bringing this in, if you're not seeing that information, start at generic model, okay, under your model categories, which is under your either your view template or your visual graphics. So you'll start at generic if it's an older piece of equipment, so generic model. And then if it's a newer piece of equipment, then you'll dive into that designated model category. So mechanical equipment's under mechanical equipment. If there's anything under lighting, it'll be under lighting fixtures. If there's anything under plumbing, it'll be under plumbing fixtures. So those are some opportunities out there that can definitely help you guys out with this specific type of VAV box. Okay. Something that I definitely enjoy as well is when you start diving into this also. These are not like the standard out of the box Revit. They don't just sit on the floor. So you guys can actually set this in the model, and there is a designated space in which they set. We put them in floor plans traditionally, so they're hosting off a level. Okay, so you'll have that ability to work with this right in Revit and in your floor plans, and you shouldn't have too many hosting problems per se. So outside of that, let's go in and just take a look at some of the inner workings of this actual piece of equipment. So, and I arrived here as if I were to select this piece of equipment, go to Edit Family. That brings me into my family editor. For you guys who are adjusted in AutoCAD, or you guys work in AutoCAD, it's kind of like block editor, except for Revit, it's family editor, 3D. Then we're going to go right on up into our family types. We're going to take a look at some of the parameters embedded in here. Okay. So from a construction standpoint, like what we talked a little bit about earlier, and that value add that is listed out here for swapping controls and everything. This is the simple formula that's added in here in order to tie in controls on the left side or right side and coils on the left side or right side. Okay, so there is a little bit more to just adding a couple parameters. You got to make sure with those parameters that you're tying those attributes and everything together. But I mean, this is what it looks like. This is what it takes. This is how it works. So definitely feel free to go through and take a look at some of this. There's also some other information out here on default neck size. Okay, so there's if then statements built into this. The goal is to work with the native Revit. However, working with native Revit, we want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to increase our efficiency and performance of all our families. So that's where formulas and such have come about and allowed us to be able to add so many of these additional features that traditionally we would utilize as maybe separate types or so on down the line. Okay. So this is some of the flexibility that's out here, and this is what it takes to get into this type of family. From a realistic standpoint, any of you guys who are looking at this type of family and you're going, oh wow, that looks like a pretty hefty amount of work. That is correct. It does take some time to do content creation. From a career standpoint, putting together content creation is not something that I do on a regular basis. And that's simply because I do a lot of the other productivity side of the industry. So realistically, if you're a PM or somebody saying, okay, this looks like it's pretty reasonable for my guys to take care of, this can take a little bit longer. It's not like a block in AutoCAD, and that's what ends up getting referenced more often than not when we start looking at family content creation and putting together this level of information in a family. Okay. Benefit is when we go to this point, now we've got several steps along the process that we're used to utilizing that are now reduced in time. So we're taking all this information, it's reporting off to certain schedules, whether it's a design schedule, whether it's a schedule that's going to be for motorless, whether it's a schedule that's going to include information for circuiting, or a schedule that's going to basically give us an equipment schedule that's going to sit on our sheets. All this information is already embedded. It's already done at the point of model. So when you drop this in the model, all that information kicks off to those multiple schedules for MEP. And now you've saved time down the line in those various roles in order to push out your product, which is going to be your set of plans and your design at a faster pace. So that is what we're seeing here, and that's why this is built up the way it is. All right, so let's take a look back at a couple other pieces of equipment. So we can see now as we talk a little bit about that piece of equipment, here's one of our schedules. This is going to be our VAV schedule. There is a whole series of different VAV schedules that are sitting out here. And the series of different schedules that are sitting out here, you can see at the bottom here, VAV Box - heating water. Okay. Now within the schedule, we've got where we can do some override with some conditional formatting in our schedule that allows us to extract all those parameters embedded. Okay, and just to stress to you guys, this doesn't come with just basic out of the box, run of the mill parameters like internal parameters or basic family parameters. This utilizes a share parameters schedule as well. So there are a share parameters file as well. So there is a large text file with share parameters that really drives these parameters inside this family and inside these schedules. So still native Revit functionality, but it's taking Revit to that next level. So, and that's what speeds up productivity time. It just takes a little bit of time to get there and get that understanding. But you can see here, we can control certain information out here. So if we wanted to kick up our CFMs, we can adjust this in the schedule as well, as opposed to going back into the floor plan and adjusting information at the floor plan. Okay, so when you get closer to CDs and you're getting ready for your deliverable, if something's off, you can do some quick overrides right in your schedule that's sitting on your sheet, as opposed to having to go track stuff down or sit in your system browser for a little while and play the hunting game. So this is what we're showing. This is kind of how this family comes about, and just want to reiterate, this is one of many different families that are embedded in here. They're not all VAV families, but there is a whole series of different families embedded in Revit, from a mechanical equipment to an electrical to plumbing, so on and so forth. So that's how this gets put together. And then just to kind of go through as well and just add to this, if you guys are working with this in industry and you're running into questions, one, you guys can always reach out to our tech support team. We have one of the top of the line tech support teams out in the industry who are here to help cater towards any issues that you guys may be running into with the pack. But also within the pack that we send out, there's also an actual user guide. And within that user guide, chapter M9 in that user guide, section VAV Box Performance, this is where you're going to find out more information on the VAV Box Performance as well. So feel free to dive into this. And then the benefit of this this performance out here, so we scroll down a little bit further. There's some reference chapters, by the way, for calculations and for message center and such. But we finish up with a video link that takes you right to that back-end video and allows you to hop right on into our back-end YouTube site. And the back-end YouTube site's going to go through 32 minutes of basically doing a design and how to manipulate and play around with this VAV box. So you run into a lot of cool options here. It is very useful from multiple standpoints when it comes to design and VDC. From a design standpoint, all the talking it does across the schedules and everything like that, you guys may not necessarily, or you may have some engineers who are a little more old school, or designers a little more old school, or you guys may have questions. And And those guys may not necessarily trust all the information that Revit is putting out and so on and so forth. But in that sense, though, what it does give you guys is access to information it can develop. Okay, some of our companies out here, they're utilizing this this information because they understand it is computing for us. They're utilizing this as this is what it's doing. They're looking back at their information, verifying this is kind of what we came up with from a design standpoint. This is what Revit came up with from a design standpoint. This is going to be our airflow and so on and so forth down the line. And then we've got those other guys who are a little more of the naysayers. This is a form of reference for you guys. So you guys can utilize this as reference. And I know you guys have your spreadsheets, have your tools and everything along those lines, your duck readers and all kinds of other stuff that allows you to see all these pieces of information where they go together. You guys can use this as a form of reference to what you guys have to make sure from a standpoint of, am I missing something, or is the new guy not adding something in here correctly? Are we not connected? Those are great tools that come off of having a system that's set up. And that truly is the benefit of this piece of equipment and all the pieces of equipment that come with the MEP Productivity Pack. All right, so I am going to kick over to my presentation again. So just to kind of recap a little bit of what we've gone over today, we're recapping the VAV box and its many parameters. A lot of great parameters out there. And guys, remember this pack when it's purchased, and this equipment that comes with the pack, there's no licensing tied to this. This is mutually yours at that point. So make it, break it, do whatever you need to. Just drop an archive copy on the back of a drive somewhere and call it a day. You guys can remove the parameters you don't need. You can add parameters you would like to see in there. Just go ahead, make it yours, do what you can. Also, feel free to do that as well with the schedules. Customize your schedules to what you're looking for also. So there's a lot of parameters and there's a lot that you guys can definitely do with this. Also, just utilizing this for design, utilizing this for VDC. Design, as we said, many parameters, calculating, overriding some of those calculation standpoints. Those are all great tools that traditionally we have to spread across multiple types. Well, we bring a lot of that information into one family. Might be a little bit heavier as one family, but one heavier family is better than 6 or 8 smaller families that don't necessarily answer the buck. Because when you add 6 or 8 smaller families together, they suck up more bandwidth than the larger one family. So VDC guys, all my guys in the field, and my coordination guys and everything along those lines. It's not fab equipment, so just we can't mix that up as it being fab. However, from a coordination standpoint, it already has its clearance zones, and we can do some quick swappage of controls and coils from this with the blink of an eye. And then because it's a robust family, it's well built, you're not going to have problems hosting it to anything, whether it's a floor plan or a ceiling plan. It hosts perfectly fine, and you guys shouldn't see too many of those issues that we see from some of those manufacturers' families that we grab on the fly. Then finally, to recap ways to improve the workflow, again, it's one family, and it just goes right along, and we really increase our performance and our ability to kind of move through putting together a set of plans when we have equipment that works. All right, so at this point in the presentation, I'm going to open this up for questions. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have, and drop those in the Q&A portion of the chat here. And then if you don't have any questions, feel free. I'm going to bring up our thank you slide. We have information out here that gives you my email address as well as phone number and sales email address to work with your local sales representative in order to set up a demo as soon as you guys would like. Thank you. All right, if there's no other questions, I'm going to let everybody go. I'd like to thank you guys for your time today, and I hope to hear from you soon.